Hello, friends. On air from Nashville, it's me, Ruth Rosen.
And on air from Seattle, it's me, Tim Tackett. Welcome to the Let It Be podcast. In today's episode of the Let It Be podcast, you will hear how a mom found hope in healing, making intentional choices even when circumstances felt beyond her control. We are going to sit down for a deeply personal conversation about the journey from tragic loss to a place of profound healing. We explore how a mom navigated her son's accidental overdose by choosing to honor his memory as a gift, rather than focusing solely on the tragedy. Through her choices, you'll hear her family's story of love and intentionality and how it can help keep a family together and find a way forward. Ruthie, I'm really excited to meet your friend.
It's going to be a deep conversation, brother, so I want you to hold on and just get ready for it. But it's so beautiful, and so is she.
I'm most looking forward to just kind of diving into the overall message of how she moves forward, because I know you guys share kind of a similar circumstance.
Well, the circumstance is different, being that I had 13 months to say goodbye to my daughter, and she did not get to do that with her son, Aiden. But unfortunately, we both are part of the same club that no parent wants to belong to. I've witnessed how this human that I get to call my friend has taken the word taken and moved it into the category of choices, is how she chooses to keep living. And I am hopeful that her sharing her story, which she does not do very often, Tim, in Chino Hills, when Aiden first overdosed, I remember where I was pulling into the driveway, and a friend called to tell me, and I got to walk alongside the McDonald family. But I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. You both lost, and you've said this, some people say they were taken too early, which is a connection that you guys share as well.
So the reason I say beautiful when I describe the story that she's going to share is because it's her grace and her love for her family that is so inspiring, that even though it's a tragic story, there's beauty in it. And I have to believe wholeheartedly that even though Carla was taken from us, there's so much beauty in it as well. And I can't wait for you to meet my friend Cammie.
I'm excited.
I think you're going to love her, Tim. I think you're going to love her.
So you used the word taken a couple of times, and we're diving into our new learned wisdom, which we talked a little bit about the last episode. But the words choice, control, circumstances, taken, those are all going to show up in this next series from our new learned wisdom. And I would love for you to take a moment and read that portion from your book.
Just because a circumstance beyond your control has taken away some of your choices, it doesn't mean it's taken away all of your choices. Are you ready to meet her?
I'm ready to meet her, because this topic lately, you hear about fentanyl on the news and just the grip that it has on our society and what we see, and just getting to meet her and hear her story of her son's accidental overdose on something that is so gripping right now. Thanks for introducing us. Cammie McDonald, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking time and courage to come and talk to Ruthie and I.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I don't know much more than what Ruthie has told me. I know that
not everything, Cammie, don't worry.
Not everything. I know that you're an appraiser. You're in the real estate business. Then you just built a custom home up in Canada, I heard.
I did. We did. Me and my husband together.
JD.
JD.
JD. And I heard he is a canine cop.
He just retired. He did 32 years on LAPD and worked
Wow.
lots of specialized units, SWAT, canine, mounted unit, gangs. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's brave.
I think so. He's kind of a stud.
Yeah. I guess to if he worked with dogs too, I think that's that immediate respect from me. If he's a canine cop, I think that's so cool. I know you have a son, Connor,
Uh-huh.
and you're here to talk to us a little bit today about Aiden.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, maybe Ruthie can fill in.
Welcome, Cammie.
Thank you, Ruthie.
Yeah,
Do you call her Ruth? Do you know her as Ruth?
Ruth.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So Cammie is an amazing human who brings joy and light to anyone that you meet, even though you have endured something that you and I wish we never belonged to the same club. I just love you. So I thank you from truly and deep within my heart for your willingness to share Aiden's story and to let us know where you're at right now. And I know it's going to be deep, but we just can't wait to hear what it is that you want to share with us.
Well, thank you for that. I'll start by, I guess, just introducing myself. So, I was born and raised in Northern California. I was one of three girls, and yes, I'm the middle child. Um, I went to a private school all of my life, played sports, went to San Jose State, graduated from there, thought I wanted to do hair, did that for a little while, and then ended up in the industry that I'm in real estate. In 1994, I met JD, my husband. We got married in 1998, had our first son in 2001 and our second son in 2003, so Aiden and Connor. Um, we were a typical family. Our boys played in Little League. They got into hockey. My husband played hockey. That's how that started. Everyone asks. We were just a typical family and picture perfect, some would say. But my husband was a police officer. He worked a lot of evenings and weekends, so that left a lot of time for me to take care of the kids. It allowed me to bond with my boys in a way that was different. But we started noticing, and I'm going to focus on Aiden now a little bit more because this story is related to him. So,
Okay.
we started noticing some changes in Aiden's behavior, and he was anxious about things. And I didn't know where it was coming from, but within a few years, my husband's best friend passed away in a tragic boating accident. And that really struck a nerve with Aiden, and his anxiety started showing up more and more. His grandmother passed away in 2014, which brought up more anxiety. And he would worry about little things that shouldn't matter to a normal kid, like, am I going to pass a test? Or what if something bad happens to me at school? Or what if something bad happens to you, mom or dad, with the job that he does? I can understand where some of that anxiety came from, but it was more. And and just a little bit about Aiden. He was an awesome kid. He was an AP student, honor student, played high level hockey. He had so many friends. He's funny. And he always rooted for the underdog, always wanted better for people. But as he got into high school, I started noticing the anxiety getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And by his junior year, things really changed for him. And those bouts of anxiety began to progress, and he started experiencing some bouts of depression. And I didn't know what to do for him. He hid it so well. Only a few of his friends knew what he was experiencing. But he continued on. He continued to do well in school. He continued to excel in athletics, and he went to nationals twice with his hockey team. He was an all-star hockey player. I guess around the middle or end of his senior year, Aiden tried to take control himself, and he started self-medicating and using substances that he shouldn't have been using, but they helped him feel normal. After he graduated high school, he came to me and said, "Mom," and he explained to me what he was doing, that he didn't want this life. He wanted better for himself, but he didn't know how to do it. So his dad and I tried to help him the best that we could. This was in June of 2019 when he came to us. He did go to a therapist, a psychiatrist who diagnosed him with extreme anxiety. He started cleaning up his act and doing better for himself and for us. And he started to slip in July of 2019 and started to self-medicate again, unbeknownst to his dad and I. And when we found this out, we basically gave him an ultimatum to clean up your act or you can't live here. Your dad is a police officer. Your brother is watching your behavior, and we can't have this in our house. And so that day, Aiden chose to leave. He said he wanted to think about his options. And he found himself at a friend's house. He spent the night there. He did reach out to me that night. I missed a phone call from him. My phone went to silence and I missed his phone call. But at 6 a.m. on August 1st, I saw a phone number that I didn't recognize, and I just hit call. And his friend picked up the phone and said, "Aiden's here," and started screaming, "Something's wrong with Aiden. Something's wrong with Aiden." And I knew immediately that Aiden has probably overdosed and that he needed help. So I asked, "Please call 911, tell them that he overdosed. Do you know CPR? We're on our way." I ran upstairs, woke my husband up. I got dressed. We decided to take our son Connor with us to, well, I don't know why we did. And we arrived when the paramedics got there. And for over 30 minutes, they worked on Aiden, tried to revive him. And during that process, I sat and begged God, "Don't take him. He's not ready yet. Don't take him. I'm not ready." But God had a different plan. And a little after 7 o'clock on August 1st, Aiden took his last breaths and moved on from this life to the next. And it left me questioning so many questions. I was shocked. No parent should watch their child pass from this life to the next. And it comes down to now where it doesn't matter how they left this world. When they leave, it breaks you. And I truly felt like Aiden was snatched out of our lives. So that's our story. I tried to condense it. I wanted to also honor him because that's ultimately how his life ended doesn't define his life. And I can't say enough what a wonderful kid he was. But it changed us as a family, and it changed the whole trajectory of our lives.
Cammie, thank you for sharing that. And you did a beautiful job of not only honoring Aiden, but you so clearly articulated how it happened. And you're right, no parent should have their child taken from them. And we listen to people tell us they're taken too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Why I wanted you to share during this learned wisdom is what you said so profoundly on how you no longer look at the word taken from you and that there's choices involved. So, how did that happen, Tammy? I'm sorry.
I've been called worse.
I don't know why I just said that. That's worse than you
was good levity right there at the right moment.
No.
Tammy's my alter ego.
Is it really?
Yes. It's a running joke. I'll explain later.
Okay. Well, as I'm thinking about some questions as you're sharing not only Aiden's story, but your family's story, because it affects your entire family dynamics, like you said. First thing that comes to mind is just that you begged God not to take him.
Begged. I would have traded my life.
So were you mad at God?
So after Aiden passed, for months, I think I was in shock. I didn't feel anything but broken. But as time progressed, yes, I was angry. How could he take such a beautiful gift that he gave me? How could this happen to such a wonderful kid that had so much to offer? And I found myself having conversations with God about why would you do this to me? Why would you take him so soon? I searched high and low. Why? How did this happen? How did this happen? Where did it go wrong? And the thing is that sorry, got a little sniffly on you guys.
Yes.
The thing is that I didn't get answers from him right away, but I did have a dream one night, and it was an angel appeared before me and answered for me and said, God didn't take him from you. He was a gift that was given to you. And you may never understand in this lifetime why Aiden is no longer here, but you will one day see the big picture. One day it will make sense and you'll go, oh. But it didn't make things easier. I got mad at God several times, and I figured he's a pretty big guy and he can understand my anger. I'm a human in a human form, and I have emotions. And we've had many conversations, mostly one-sided. But I've come to accept that there's something bigger. There's a bigger purpose for this. And I'm going to do my best to figure that out.
Can I say a couple things here? Because what you just relayed that he said to you is the same thing that Ruthie heard when she was laying in bed. And did you catch that, Ruthie? I don't know if you guys have had this conversation, but just reflecting upon, Ruthie was laying in bed and heard a voice say, it's a gift. I don't know if you guys have talked about that or not, but that is a connection that is absolutely amazing that you guys share such a, I don't want to call it a tragedy if someone says it's a gift. I'm an agnostic, Cammie. I'm sure you've heard on the show. And
I know.
So I have to be very careful about the things I say because I want to be very respectful. But you guys share so much, and to have such a similar message given to you, I think says a lot about not just your belief, but both Carla and Aiden. And what sounds like two similar, amazing people. And you also said something in your story that you took Connor with you, but you didn't know why. So you were all together as a family.
We were together and saw everything. And for a mom's emotions after our son passed, Connor and Aiden were best buddies. They were like bear cubs. They were always drawn to each other, but they fought like brothers and drove me nuts. And
a normal family.
Yeah. And he sat with his brother. He watched his brother pass first and then sat on the floor holding his hand until the coroner got there. And so my heart hurts for what he had to experience and what he went through the process and the trauma that it caused him.
That's fine.
Did you, I guess, like in the time afterwards, were you able to focus on your own healing, or were you focused more on Connor and JD's? Like, I'm curious, like, where did you go? Like, who did you care for the most, or who are you mad at the most? I guess not. Mad.
I wasn't ever mad at anyone particularly. I think grief is a very personal thing. And I think that originally, within weeks or months after his passing, I was focusing on me, just getting through a day. How am I gonna overcome this? And so it was all about me at first. But as time went on and through intense therapy, I found that I'm not the only one suffering. And I started looking at the big picture. And I went through several therapists before I found one who truly helped me in my healing journey. But also she helped me see different perspectives on everything, on Connor, on JD, on how to help each other. I remember our first session, she said to me, "How's your marriage?" At the very end. I told her my story. We sat and overextended the stay. And she said, "How's your marriage?" And I said, I think we're good. And she said, "How good?" And she gave me the statistics of marriages that survive the death of a child being staggering at close to 80% fail. And that hit me like a rock. And I remember just driving home with tears in my eyes. And I walked into the house and I said, "Guys, we need to talk. We need to talk." And I sat them down and told them, "We lost Aiden. No one will ever understand what the three of us are going through except each other. But I'm not willing to lose either of you. And I want today to make a commitment to each other that we will allow each other to grieve the way we grieve, that we will allow each other to have bad days and good days, and that we will do this together and get through it together." And that was important to me. And I think it hit me so hard because I'd already lost somebody that I love so dearly. I couldn't afford to lose somebody else. So I did. At that point, I focused more on them, allowing myself some self-care. But I hope that answered your question.
It does. And I mean, I didn't know 80% of marriages didn't make it through a tragedy like that. That's such a high number.
Yeah.
Did you have a relationship with God before Aiden passed? And how did that look for you then and now?
I did. Growing up, my mom became a Christian when I was in my teens. So I was raised in a Christian home and went to a Christian school. I'll be honest, there were times that I was rebellious and did
That's
not
why we get along
agree.
so well.
Yes, I didn't. I know secrets. um, but I had a period in my life that I was just rebellious, and that wasn't. I wanted to live my life and do it my way. And
How old were you then? How old was Rebel
Ta-
Tammy?
Rebel Tammy was born in about 1985. So from my mid to late teens into my 20s, and I think
Okay.
when I got married and had my own kids, I wanted them to have the option of knowing Jesus and making their own choices and what their own beliefs were, but I wanted to expose them. And we went to church almost every Sunday, unless hockey was there. Sometimes hockey was our church.
Yes.
And, but I wanted them to know and that they could believe what they wanted to believe.
That's
So
great.
I drew a little closer to God then, but and off and on, there were times that we didn't go to church and I forgot that he was there. But when Aiden passed, it hit me where I felt his presence, his spirit was with
Mhm.
me. And I turned back a little bit. Okay, I'm not saying I'm the perfect Christian because all of you out there that know me.
Well, none of us are perfect. And we recently had Pastor Scott Hyder, and he sins all the time. So if Scott can sin all the time and he's a man directly connected to God,
His
well,
sins are they're
Or good,
not
or
they're
good
not
sins.
relatable.
They're not like my sins. Let's just say that.
oh, shh. Okay. So you also mentioned getting into therapy.
Mhm.
Cammie, when did you start going to therapy after Aiden passed?
At about 3 months, like I said, I knew I needed help. I wasn't going to be able to do this on my own. And so I tried my first therapist, and I was told by friends, give them 6 chances. So I did. And I said, nope, she's not going to help me. I went to a second therapist, and after 6 tries, I walked away and said, nope, she's not the one. And I was at the point where I almost wanted to give up, but my husband said, try one more time. And I did, and I met the best therapist that I could possibly have found. 3 times was a charm. And Stephanie McGinney, shout out to her. She, on the first session, began to give me homework and said, this is not going to be easy, but if you want to be able to move forward, because you'll never get over this, but if you want to be able to move forward, you need to do the work. And that scared me, but I was willing. And at that session, I made a choice to do the work, to put the work in. And sometimes it was hard, sometimes it was ugly, but I did. And every session, she left me with a homework assignment. So I had
That's
to
fantastic.
answer her questions the next week. So I couldn't show up not prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her and I spoke every week for over a year.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage, Cammie,
Yeah.
that you were willing to not only help yourself, but help JD and Connor, because through that homework, you all benefited.
We
So
did.
you guys were all together with your therapist, or did you see her separately, or how did that
I
work?
saw her separately. JD had a therapist that he went to for a couple of months.
Okay.
I saw mine separately. I was able to open up to her and be 100% vulnerable, where I learned to do that with JD and Connor as well.
Okay.
But yeah, we went separately, and Connor didn't go to therapy. We tried, and he wasn't ready for it at that time.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
was dealing with things differently.
It's important. I mean, you use the word vulnerable. You have to go in vulnerable and accept that you can't make all the choices. You have to have someone help you and kind of guide you.
The thing I loved about her is she always had a different perspective for me. She would hear me, but then reiterate it in another way where I would go, "Ah, I didn't think about it like that." And always reminded me that you do have choices. Life's about choices, and every choice we make changes the way that our path can go. And I love that she helped me figure out, even in grief, we have choices to make.
Do you think, you mentioned grief, do you think that there's any misconceptions that society just needs to let go of about grief?
I know you do. Okay. Yeah, there's misconceptions. Society wants you to get over your grief. They want people who love and care about you want to help you get through this. And the thing is, especially with child loss, you'll never get over it. You can move on, but that's a choice you have to make, and nobody can do that for you. And nobody can push you to do it. People want to fix you. And sometimes the fixing has to be done within. How about you? What are your thoughts on misconceptions?
Ooh, this is not about Ruth Rosen. This is Cammie. Wait.
I think it's a good question. I'd like to hear the answer.
I think that you said it perfectly, that there's no given time. And grief, you're 6 years in, I'm 20, mine will be 20 years. And it hits you at odd times, never leaves you. You just have to go through life with a hole in your heart that can never be replaced. I feel like I look at it like this: put your hand over your heart, and God is covering it.
Yes.
And it's never a timeline. It's just how you feel it.
Yes, I agree.
Do you have peace, Cammie?
Most of the time, yes. Every once in a while, thoughts and things still creep into my head. And I think that's part of being human, but I've learned to suppress those thoughts and remember the good and not the bad or the ugly. Prayer helps me sometimes. And yeah, I would say that I have peace with what has happened. I don't like it. Do I wish I could change it every day? But I know that one day I'm going to see the big picture. I know that Aiden's life had purpose. I know that his story hasn't ended.
Do you find yourself, when you have those moments of grief, do you sit with it and take it for all it is, good and bad, and push through it with equal time spent in each emotion, or do you rush to the next one, or hurry to change thoughts? Like how do you go through that?
Well, I think something I learned is grief is not our enemy, it's our friend. It's love that has nowhere to go. And so I do sit with it. I've learned to make peace or become friends with grief. And I allow myself those emotions. I allow myself to be sad. I have to be able to do that, because otherwise grief can get stuck and it can get ugly. And so I sit with it. And there are days that I still have a good cry and just miss him. But I also have learned, and through my therapist, give yourself a time limit with it. Give yourself a time limit and say, you want to know what? I have a busy day today. I have to work, and today I'm feeling down and ugly and lost. And I'll give myself 20 minutes if I want to cry or scream or do whatever I do. I do that, and then I move on. And I allow it to come out. I do allow it to come out, but I don't let it ruin me. I don't let it ruin my day.
Yeah, you don't let it control you. You just
Mhm.
say like, all right, Payne, you and me get 20 minutes, pal.
Yeah, nice to
So
see you today, but you gotta go.
so okay, so I'm going to come back to misconception because as you're talking, I'm thinking about something, and I'm pretty sure you can relate to this.
Okay.
So a misconception is, well, it's been 20 years, you should be fine now. Well, no, because I
Okay.
choosing to be there. As a parent who is going to have a lifelong grief, and I love the way you said it is not my enemy, it is my friend. I get to control when I want to let it take over and when I want to suppress it. So misconception is, I'm fine today. Oh, she's in denial. That's misconception. But
Yes.
no, I'm choosing to not let it overtake me today because, like you said, today is one of the kids' birthday. It's about them. It's not about how I'm feeling. Oh, somebody's getting married, their best friend having a baby, doing these things that our kids don't get to do anymore.
Mm.
We choose, right, Cammie, to suppress
Yes.
it. I love how you said that it's a friend. No, not today. We're not doing
Yeah,
this today because
I'm
today is
busy
about
today.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got stuff
Yes.
to do.
Yeah, you can be busy. And the thing is, I found that after Aiden passed, I had this sadness and I was like, am I ever going to be me again? Am I ever going to feel happiness or joy? And I found that joy and sadness can coexist.
Mm.
And again, like grief, you have to allow it. You have to make the choice
Mhm.
that you can be
Mhm.
happy. And I choose that. So
Mhm.
I choose that I want to be happy. I want to live the life and honor my son, the part that he
Mhm.
didn't get. And
Mhm.
he would never want me to go on through life sad, and lose myself in it.
Mhm.
And so I make choices every day with this.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're not.
That's so cool. We had a earlier guest who had said you can have two emotions at the same time. Mari D
Mhm.
said joy and grief can exist at the same time.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm curious, like, what do you do to bring yourself joy? What, on a daily basis, what do you do for yourself?
I find joy in little things in life now. And Ruth, you can probably attest to this. If you can ever love somebody that has lost a child, you will experience a different person if they allow themselves to be that. I find joy in watching my son do Muay Thai and get his butt kicked. I find joy when my son is he's in aviation school and he's going to school to become a pilot. And when I see airplanes and him get excited about an airplane, I see joy in date night with my husband. I see joy on walks with my dog. I love being in nature and I get signs in nature. When Aiden passed, dragonflies started showing up everywhere and they would follow me. And I'm like, Aiden, is that you? Is that you? And when my mom passed, I started getting pennies from heaven, is what I called them. And I would get so excited over a penny. And it brought me joy that, oh, my mom's thinking of me right now. Or joy comes in little packages.
Mm.
And you learn to love what sometimes you forget about.
Mhm.
You learn to see the little things and little experiences that
Mhm.
should mean the most. I don't
I
know.
think
Does that answer?
it's
Yeah, I think that's great.
beautiful.
I mean,
It's
we talk a lot
beautiful.
about normalcy and,
Mhm.
you're finding
Yeah.
joy in the normal parts of your life, walking your
Mhm.
dog or going to
Yeah.
see your son. Yeah. I mean, I love the dragonflies. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
When you have a magnitude of um, pain and loss that no mother should have to witness and be a part of, is your life changes. And
Mm-hmm.
you're right. Joy is a choice, and you're choosing joy. And you are honoring Aiden through that choice, Cammie. You're an inspiration to be around. There's a mom or a dad or a brother or a sister who's about to experience
Mm.
loss that they didn't choose. Going back 6 years, what's something that you now know today that you could have really benefited if somebody could have shared what 6 years ago?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I apologize for such a big question.
It is a big
It
question.
is a big question, but I think, and what I want to, the reason I want to say this is because I think fresh into my grief, I robbed myself of another mom's wisdom. And let me tell you what I mean by that.
Okay.
It was the week that Carla passed, and I got a phone call because back then, remember, internet wasn't a big deal and we didn't have social media. So she actually took the time to find the number and call me.
That was brave.
You remember on the corner of Chino Hills Parkway and Ramona, where the Ford dealership is?
Mm-hmm.
The kids that were killed there
Mm-hmm.
in a car accident, 3 of them were
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah.
Well, one of the moms called me, and it was 10 years into it. And she had called me to let me know that she was praying for me. And all I could do was hurry up and get her off the phone.
Mm.
And what I want to go back to is when I asked you that question, I was so deep into my grief. I did not want to know I was going to be okay, because when you lose your child, the thought of being okay 6 years later, the thought of living 20 years without your child, when they first pass, there's no way you can think of anything positive.
Mm-mm.
But if I would have stopped and not feared this, maybe that mom who boldly, courageously wanted to give me some advice could have helped me with some of my healing early on. So when I ask you this question, it's not intended to be so big to stump you, but there's somebody that's going to be walking through this and have their son or daughter or sister or brother be taken from a fentanyl overdose. What is it that you could share with them right now that would help them on the healing process?
Wow. I think the very beginning, it's just take it minute by minute, hour by hour. You're right. No one wants to hear that you're going to be okay because you're, like I said, broken. There's no other word that that explains how your life is shattered.
Mhm.
And so I think it's about take it minute by minute, trust. There's a process. You're not going to understand it. Don't don't try, just take care of you. Take care of yourself and your family.
That's great. Great wisdom.
I have a unique question, which I'd like to ask. Does Aiden still have a room in the house?
Yes.
So do you go in there sometimes and just sit down and have maybe a spiritual moment or just a moment of positivity or sadness?
Yes. I
Yeah.
still do. I did more so in the weeks and months, and I would say the first couple of years. I would sit in there and have conversations with him as if he were here.
Yeah.
Not much has changed in that room. It still looks the same, and he has medals and awards and pictures and Xbox and headphones that I might have on right now.
Great. I'm wearing Carla's necklace.
I love it.
I think that's great. That's really just kind of a good way to memorialize Aiden. And is there anything else that you've done, like any advocacy groups that you've joined? How do you kind of move forward with him still?
I did have a mom's group that I started about a year and a half into my grief journey. I felt like there was more of a purpose and there's a reason for this. And what could I do? How can I help others and help myself? And so I started a mom's group. My therapist helped me find a grief educator class that I joined, and I did a 20-week course on how to help others process and move through their grief.
Wow.
And I applied that into a mom's group that started with 3 or 4 ladies. It got to, I think there was 17 towards the end, and I worked with them for about a year and a half. And we just got together. There's something about being with another mom who lost a child that they understand your broken heart. And to be able to share experiences with each other, how to deal when somebody asks you the tough question, like, how many kids do you have? The first time somebody asked me that, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say. And we help each other with learning how to answer those, how to overcome hurdles, how to just be able to have laughter again. And that lasted for about a year and a half. When we built our house in Canada, we started going up for the summers. And so I wasn't around as much, and I'm not doing much with the ladies. We do check in with each other from time to time, but that's kind of what I did, and I'd like to get back to it. So, Tim, thank you for reminding me.
And there's something empowering also that you said about when somebody asks us, how many kids do you have?
I never would have
It's
thought
our
of that.
choice. We're in control of that answer. Sometimes I don't feel like answering all of it right now.
I don't have
so
any
I'm
kids.
just gonna
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, sometimes I don't. No, I'm
going to get into this. You don't know what the next question is.
Yes, because I've answered where I have 2. I've answered that I have 2. One lives in heaven, or I'll get, how old are they? If it starts to extend, then I said, I have a forever 18-year-old and I have a 22-year-old son. And they always look at me like, what? And I think that it throws people off and people feel uncomfortable with the answer, but they asked.
Are you at a point where in your healing where you can make jokes that maybe you wouldn't have that were like, a year, a month after? Like, are there, I don't know, like inside jokes that you and Connor might have about Aiden, or you and JD would be, like, oh, don't do that because, Aiden's going to, or whatever.
Yeah, we do with Connor all the time. Even Christmas just passed. And Connor said something, I got the better gift. And I'm all, well, you're getting 2 gifts versus 1. And he's all, thank you, Aiden. And he makes little joke. We joke, we laugh, we have moments still. But it's good. I think that we're all at a better place. All 3 of us, when I say us, JD, Connor, and I, we have always been open with each other. We've talked about Aiden like he's still here at times. And it helps us get through what we need to. Sometimes it's the day, the hour, the moment.
I think that's a good step in the healing process when you can be comfortable in laughter.
Yeah.
So, now this could be a little bit of a touchy subject, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it. Narcan.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so readily available now. Do you think that everybody should have it?
Yes and no. If any of your kids, friends, anybody that you know experiments with drugs, you should have it handy. You never know whose life you'll save. Um, we did not, and 6 years ago, it wasn't as big of a thing.
Mhm.
Now I carry it in my car. I have it in my home, because you never know when
Mhm.
JD, before he retired from the police department, had a call that there was a young man in need of assistance, and they went and he had overdosed, and he administered Narcan to this young man and saved his life.
Mhm.
And he walked away from that with mixed emotions and feelings and shared with me that, why didn't anyone have this for our son?
Mhm.
It's so easy to get now. And,
Mhm.
you know, I was telling Ruthie before we got on the call that, I work in downtown Seattle, and I drive
Mhm.
down the streets and I see people in the slump, right? The fentanyl slump.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people's perception of maybe someone who has used fentanyl or abuses drugs, that could be their perception. And I have avoided not carrying Narcan, even though it's so close to me where I work, because of whatever, conceived notion I have about that fentanyl. And I don't anymore, because of someone like your son who just, they're not abusing it every day. They're not on Third and Pike. They're not leaning over by, the Rainier Tower in Seattle. This is a person who played hockey, who is your son, who had a brother. And, if I have the ability to carry Narcan for another young man or young woman, why wouldn't I?
Yeah, the fentanyl crisis right now, it was a newer thing and you didn't hear about it as much 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Aiden was experimenting and bought something off of, because the first time he tried anything was somebody's grandma's prescription.
Right.
Um, and it made him feel normal. And when he wanted to continue that, he found someone on Snapchat. Um, and bought it off the streets several times. But this last time, he chose to do it one last time before he was going to clean up his life. But that one last time cost him his life. He didn't know what was in it. He thought he was taking something totally different. There's fake pills. There's um, so many things they put it in: cocaine, heroin. I mean, I've learned a lot
Mm-hmm.
about fentanyl over the years. Um, Unfortunately, too late.
So what do you, looking back, maybe even 7 years,
Mhm.
what are some of the conversations that you had, or maybe wish you had had, that, our listeners could say, you know what, Cammie's Cammie's awesome. She's got some good questions. Like, how do you have those conversations with your kids? Because a lot of kids just don't want to hear what you have to say as an adult.
Right, right. Yeah, they know everything, right?
Right.
Mhm.
I think just being open with your kids, not just about drugs, but just about everything. Ask them, how's your day? And truly be interested and show that interest. And you can bring in the hard conversations and the heavy conversations about what our world is today, what kind of things are out there. I mean, Aiden didn't know. Aiden did not know. And maybe if I knew and had talked to him, could I have saved his life? I don't know. I don't know, but you can have those conversations. And even if they don't want to hear it, they hear what we say, right?
Yeah.
They still hear what we say
Yes,
and
they
they
do.
process it later.
Uh-huh. So
But I
just keep
say,
talking.
keep talking and don't make it a one-time conversation. Remind them, because sometimes young people forget. So have the hard conversations as well as the good conversations, because those matter just as much.
Yeah. Wow. Um, okay.
Okay.
Well,
Did it get heavy?
Yeah.
yes,
This has
but
been great.
yes. I think that, I mean, for me, I just, Is there anything that you felt like you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about or we didn't bring up, but there's something that you want to share with us?
I do want to share something. So I know we talked about therapy. I want to talk about my husband because he helped me through a lot of things, and we had some pretty heavy and serious conversations. And it goes back to choices. So I want to share a conversation that we had about Aiden. And I came home and I was focusing on some of the bad things and how things ended. And he stopped me and he said, Cammie, we have a choice on how we can view this. And he goes, listen, we had a great kid for 18 years, And tragically, the last couple of months didn't end the way we wanted them to. But I want you to remember that he brought us 18 and a half years of joy and love and laughter. And we can focus on the end, or we can look at what God gave us. God gave us a gift of Aiden, who taught us so much through our lives. Or we could focus that he was taken from our lives, that he is gone, and focus on that. And he goes, I choose to focus on the first half of his life. And I hope that you would too. And so he also allowed me a different perspective and made me think about a choice. What choice do I want to make? Do I want to focus on the good, or do I want to focus on the very short-lived bad portion? And I choose to focus on the good. So my husband, I want to just give him a little props and say, we were lucky to have each other.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. You guys are in the 20%.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I told you, Tim, that you were going to love Cammie.
Yeah, you did.
And Cammie, I told you you were going to love my brother.
I do. I already fell in love with you a little bit, Tim, already just listening to podcasts.
Oh, goodness. Oh, my gosh.
Well, and thank you, friend, for doing this. And I hope that you know that today somebody is going to have more hope because of you.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
Somebody is encouraged because you choose joy. And I know from my own heart, I hear you loving on your husband so much, and dang it, I'm going to get up there and love on Michael. and Bethany's away right now, coming back. So Tim, you're going to be loving on
Tomorrow.
Bethany even more.
She'll be back tomorrow. Yep. Did you bring a favorite scripture, a favorite song,
good.
a nonprofit organization?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was prepared with the scripture, and it's one that has helped me. I'm going to get comfortable and find my little note card here.
Okay.
Okay, so one of my scriptures that I would go to, and I chose this because it just helped me through some of my insecurities. It's Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And it reads, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So that's something that when I question things or don't understand things in my own little brain, I lean on that and have to trust that God will help me through this.
That's right. That's right.
No.
It's a very strong, powerful.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's that. Okay, so I had several songs. I had a hard time choosing, but a song that really depicts my journey and is a reminder that we're all heading for the same place. Aiden just beat me there, is by Will Dempsey, and it's called Beat You There. So that's one of my favorite songs that always gets me in the heart. I have a second favorite. Do you want to know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield. Because instead of Jesse, I always sing JD's Girl.
Oh, JD better do something super nice for you because he's getting some
Right?
major props on this conversation.
That's awesome.
Okay, those are my 2 songs.
Oh,
There's
that's
a Saturday Night Live video of Jesse's Girl,
Yeah.
and they show the band like first coming out with the song, and Jesse's the drummer, right? And Rick Springfield's singing, and if you can like YouTube that at some point, it's
I
a
am.
great
When
song.
we sign off, I'm YouTubing that right away.
So one of the things I forgot to mention to you, which I apologize for that, is a nonprofit. We would like to highlight a nonprofit. It'll go on our website, letitbepodcast.com. And if you could share with us your nonprofit of choice that we could bring some attention to.
Okay, I wasn't prepared, but I do have
Yes.
one. My
Great.
my husband works with a group called Task Force Heroes. They are geared toward military, fire, police, and army, or military, and they help people who have suffered with trauma. Some sort of trauma in their lives. And so my husband was invited several years back to this group. It's a Christian-based organization, and they invited him for a weekend. And they take them to Montana and Bozeman, Montana. They take these guys and they do fly fishing. They do archery, axe throwing. They do all the manly fun stuff.
Wow.
And but they also bring in and get down to the meat of the matter of why are you here, and they share their stories. And JD, when he went, they heard his story with Aiden, and of course he went in a little deeper with that, with more details, and he came home changed. He came home changed, and a few months later, they contacted him and asked if he would be one of their advocates, or if he would come
Wonderful.
and help with that. And so that's part of his healing journey and process. But it's all nonprofit. They take donations that help fund these guys and help them along their journeys in life.
That's wonderful. That's
Task
great.
Force Heroes.
Uh-huh.
And he goes a couple times a year now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes a couple times a year.
That's wonderful. Wow. Okay. Did we take care of all of because I almost forgot about it all.
We did.
Did I take up more time than I was supposed to?
No.
Not at all.
Again?
No.
You kidding? I was so moved by what you were sharing, even though I've heard Aiden's story, just to hear it again in new things, and watch your passion of your heart and just the love that you have for Aiden and your family. And I forgot to ask the stuff we were supposed to ask.
Sarge.
He calls me Sarge, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Cammie. And
Yeah.
I love you.
Thank you. Thank you both. And I adore both of you. And Ruth, you've been there for day one for me. So I appreciate you. You have helped me and been a big influence on my journey. So thank you as well. Mwah. And Tim, thank you for the fun.
Oh, thanks for the
good. Yeah, all of it. For all of it.
And you see what I think? There's something to be shared right here in this moment. And it's a very deep subject, tragic, trauma. But somehow, how is this ending in laughter? Tim, did you expect it to end in laughter?
No, this has been great. I really do appreciate you, again, having the courage to come and tell the story.
Yeah.
And
Again, thank you so much. It was a pleasure, honor, and
Thank you.
thanks,
Bye.
Cammie. You have an amazing friend. What courage she has to come on and share, and for us to end our episode in laughter. Who would think that you'd have that kind of conversation and end it with laughter?
I know. I told you, Tim. You were going to love her. And
Yeah. And her family too. I mean, they sound like, she said it too, like just your everyday average American family. It really sounds like, I want to meet them. We should go meet them.
great.
Yep. We should go
Okay.
visit their house in Canada.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Or
You
if you
know that-
decide you want to go to SoCal, we can stay up in Arrowhead too.
Yeah. I'd rather go.
But Canada
to
sounds better.
Been to
Yeah.
SoCal.
Okay.
You know, the fentanyl crisis in our country is ridiculous, and it's all
It's
over
a
the
true
news.
epidemic.
It is, and there's actually a push to label fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, which we just found out the other day when we talked, and it claims about 75,000 deaths a year just from overdose, which is, you compare it to car accidents. I think there's 55,000 car accident deaths a year and 30,000 gun accidents. So I understand the need to have fentanyl as when it was invented in 1953 as a painkiller, but it is 100 times stronger than morphine and 50 times stronger than heroin. So, you talk about how little it costs for people on the streets to get and how addictive it can be. And then, I think of overdoses differently now after having that conversation with her, because like I said, I see the fentanyl slump people on 3rd and Pike all the time, but that's not Aiden. He didn't deserve that.
When you look at that and hear his incredible story, and she's so loved in the community, and she continues to inspire so many of us. And I think I had never heard grief, Tim, mention the way that she said it. And I'll be hanging on to that grief is not our enemy. It's our friend. We don't have to fear it. We just have to embrace it and choose to feel those emotions.
Yeah, I think that's important. It makes us better people. It makes us more empathetic to others and more humble for ourselves.
Yeah. So, Tim, do you have something for us to think about?
When life feels out of your control or something important has been taken from you, what can you do to reclaim your sense of choice?
Goodbye, friends.
Thanks, everyone. We're so glad you're here. Did today's episode give you a little boost of hope and encouragement right when you needed it? If it did, we'd love it if you'd hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe even share it with someone who could use a little light today. For extra content and more from this podcast, make sure to follow us at Instagram at letitbe.podcast. And remember, there's still beauty unfolding in your story.